tell you that I miss practice. If the coach say I miss practice, and y'all hear it, that's it. I mean, I might miss one practice, but if somebody say you don't come to practice, if you do one practice out of all the practices this year, that's enough. If I can't practice, I'm hurt. You know what I mean? It ain't about that. But it's easy to talk about. It's easy to sum it up. Just talk.
Good afternoon. It is Sunday, December 19th. We're getting close to Christmas here, so we figured we'd give you a gift and go through the Sunday afternoon and evening NBA games. We've been red hot as a group picking against the spread, winners, sometimes even over-unders, but mostly focused on sides. We're 2-0 on Thursday. I think it was either 2-1 or 3-1 on Monday. Previous week we were 3-2, I believe. So we're hot. We're making money, and we want to keep the roll going. And that's the way it works when you're sports betting. When you're hot, you got to keep putting money down. So that said, I'm going to welcome Big Stu to the afternoon show. How's it? Let me unmute you there. Hold on a second. All right, welcome to the show, Stu. Sorry about that. I had you muted for the music.
No problem, Genius. How's it going today? It's good to talk some hoops. Like I said in the last show, this is a good time of the year for hoops around the holidays. Things start picking up, but with all the COVID players and on the unhealthy or whatever the designation is at this point, it's kind of a crapshoot. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because I was going through the 6 games that are still being played today. Because the NBA already canceled 2, but there's 6 going, and some of them have like no players affected at all. Then you look at others, and there's like 6 guys in like the health and safety protocols, which makes it a little bit tough. But if you kind of navigate through that, I think there's some value to be found. Also, this is going to be a quick show. We just want to go through the games, but I do have to say, you guys will probably hit it on tomorrow night a little bit more. Kyrie is on his way back. I don't know if you saw that, you heard that. Like I said, we'll get into the details this week on the other shows, but I had to laugh because it's basically the same offer that was made at the beginning of the season. Away games only, so on and so forth. So just I don't know if you had a very quick any quick thought on that before we get into the games.
It's just. It seems like he should be either in or out. I don't know how you play with a guy who's only playing road games. Just for team chemistry alone, the lineup gets, kind of adjusted when he's out, and then he comes back in, and it's like a different lineup, starting lineup, different kind of rotations and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't understand. Like, if at this point, I thought he'd be vaccinated by now. Just so he can play, because they need him. That they're doing well without him, but obviously that big 3 is a much more potent lineup with him in it, and they don't really have anyone to take his place in Brooklyn. So I don't know. Yeah. I have a feeling at some point he'll be full time, but we'll see how it happens with him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, yeah, and I guess the thing that'll be interesting about that too is. I don't think the rules are going to get relaxed anytime soon. Like, they're canceling games. There's more people in the protocol than ever. It's not like I think his angle was to wait it out, but that's not going to work. All right. Anyway, so jumping into the games today. So first one, there's about 1, 2. There's a couple of 6 o'clock games that are going. There's 3 games at 6. There's a few at 8. So the 6 o'clock games quickly. San Antonio Spurs at Sacramento. The Spurs are a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is 229.5. As far as the injury report goes for that game, let's see. Hold on. Okay, so for that one, we got this one's kind of messy. De'Aaron Fox is out. Davion Mitchell is out. Terrence Davis out. Lewis King out. Rashawn Holmes is questionable for Sacramento. Marvin Bagley is out. And so those are all Sacramento side. San Antonio, relatively healthy, actually very healthy. The only person they have listed is Alex Len. He is injured for the next 2 or 3 games. So all that said, and then on top of that, the Kings have been playing not the Kings, the Spurs have been playing pretty good basketball. When I look at like their net rating over the last 5 games, they're 3-2. They're a positive net rating. They're definitely playing decent basketball. Whereas Sacramento is near the bottom of the pack. They're 27th out of 30 NBA teams over the past 5 games in terms of their net rating. They're also 1-4 out of their last 5. So my initial lead here was the Spurs all over the place. What do you think? Like, you think 4.5 is too big? What are your thoughts there? So Spurs laying 4.5, going to Sacramento.
Yeah, no, I like the Spurs easy in this game, especially with all the players out for Sacramento. I would probably like the 4.5, even if Sacramento is healthy. But the fact that Sacramento has missing Fox, Bagley, Davion Mitchell, they don't have that great a team to begin with, and they're missing 3 of their better players on the team. Fox is their best player, and then Rashawn Holmes is out. He's one of their best players as well. I don't see how they even keep this game close. And the Spurs, I like the Spurs. I think the Spurs are going to keep getting better with Murray and White in that backcourt. That's a pretty good backcourt. Jakob Poeltl, their big man, is playing better. He's still young. He defends the rim very well. He's a good rebounder, and they got a good bench with Devin Vassell, another young player. I like the Spurs. And with Coach Popovich, he's obviously a great coach, and I think that team's just going to keep getting better. The Kings, I don't know. They're kind of always meddling, but they do have young talent too with Holmes and Fox, and if they could ever get something out of Bagley, that'd be good as well. But he's probably going to be more trade bait if anything else. I would imagine, just because it hasn't worked out in Sacramento. But I definitely like San Antonio in this game by at least 4.5.
Yeah, and you kind of hit it. You kind of hit my thoughts exactly on the Spurs. Like they're a strange team. Like they're not bad enough to be considered like tank worthy, but they're not good enough to be a top 4 team in the West. But they are trending in a positive direction. And I've been kind of off the Popovich train for a little while, just because of some of the stuff he says and everything. But you can't really argue with the way the way he runs a basketball team. There's really no way to argue with that. So I think San Antonio is definitely on the way up, and the Kings are, like I said, always middling, and they already fired Walton, and they got all those injuries. So I think we're in agreement on the first one.
The Spurs are still very young too. They have Keldon Johnson and Lonnie Walker. Those guys are all. They don't have they're all very young players. So I think the Spurs are going to be good moving forward this season, but in years to come, especially.
Yeah, I agree. And then the over/under jumped out at me on this game, and I don't bet a lot of totals, but it's 229.5. Kings don't play very much defense, but they score a decent amount. But I was kind of looking at the under on this one, just because of all the injuries on the Sacramento side. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on it? We don't have to talk about it too much if you're not a totals guy, but it just jumped out at me as so high. Especially for this season, 229 total is there's only one other game today that's at 230. All the rest are in the teens. So this is kind of a big one. So I was kind of looking at the under here, but any thoughts there, or you want to move along?
I would go under in this game. The Spurs play more of a half-court offense. They don't really push the ball all too much. The Kings do give up a lot of points, but they don't have anybody to score the ball today, Sacramento. And it's not like San Antonio is a big scoring team either. 229 is kind of a lot of points. I would go under in this game.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right, so I'll put that one down too. All right, so moving on to the the second game here. Let me get my injury information here. So second one we'll do is Portland at Memphis. And the line here is Portland. Sorry. Let me say this again. So Portland at Memphis. Memphis is laying 5.5 at home. Over under is 219.5. Now the Memphis injury report, there's a ton of names on it, but besides there's probably not that many impactful ones besides Ja and maybe one of these other guys. But I'll run through it quickly. So Memphis is going to be without Zaire Williams, without Santi Aldama. Sam Merrill, Ja, and Brandon Clark. So that's out on the Memphis side. But on the Portland side, there's no CJ McCollum, no Cody Zeller, but they do get Tony Snell back, and Dennis Smith Jr. will both be playing. So, those injuries are kind of all over the place on that one. But Memphis has been playing very, very well without Ja. Just in terms of like their net rating over the last 5 games, the second highest in the NBA. They're 5-0 in their last 5. They're scoring the ball really well. Their defensive rating is really good too. They had a couple of big wins in there. King mentioned this on the last show about how they're good for blowouts, and that really skews the analytics numbers. But you can't you can't get by the fact that they're 5-0 in their last 5 games. Whereas on the other side, Portland is not 1-4 out of their last 5. They're not doing anything particularly well, at the moment. Again, we just have that McCollum injury, so I'm kind of curious on this one because 5.5 is a lot of points. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts there on that one? Memphis laying 5.5 at home against Portland.
Yeah, I like Memphis in this game too. I'm not trying to go all chalk here, but I don't know. I feel like Memphis has a good team even without Morant. Melton has been playing really well in Morant's place. He's kind of been a steady influence on that team. He's a good distributor. He's good defensively. He gets a lot of steals. And then with him, along with the role players that they have, they're like role players plus with Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, and then they have Jaren Jackson Jr. I've mentioned him a few times on the show. I think he's really good. He didn't have a great game last game, but he's a guy who can step out, hit the threes. He's a good defender, and he's an active body. Which Portland, they don't really have anybody. With McCollum out, other than Lillard, it's just a team of just a bad lineup. Norman Powell's okay, but Robert Covington's been a disappointment. Nurkic hasn't played all that well. Dennis Smith, the fact that Dennis Smith Jr. has been one of their better players kind of tells you the state of the Trailblazers. Anthony Simons is a good young player, but he's still very young. I just don't like Portland. I think we've touched upon in the last couple of shows that they're just kind of a sinking ship until they figure out what they're doing. And I like Memphis in this game. Memphis is pretty solid.
Yeah, they're definitely hot. They're playing well. All right, yes, yeah. I think I agree with you on that one. I wish you were a little bit lower, but 5.5 is not crazy. So I'll put down Memphis laying 5.5. Now, next one is another one where you got like a team that looks to be going one way versus a team going the other direction, and that's Miami and Detroit are squaring off here. So let me just get the line on that one. So you got Miami at Detroit. Miami is laying 7.5. At Detroit, and over the last five games or so, Miami's kind of turned things around. So they started off red hot. We kind of all know that. And then they got hit with some injuries and things, and they cooled off for a little stretch there, and they dropped from like the number 1 team in the East, and they I forget where they're at exactly now, but they dropped out of that top spot. I think they're like 3 or 4 or something like that. But they are 4-1 in their last 5, and Detroit has just been struggling the whole season. They got Cade healthy, and he's playing well, but they're 0-5 in their last 5 games, giving up a lot of points, not really scoring the ball well. I don't think there's a ton of injuries in this game. Let me just check quickly. Jimmy Butler's out. Actually, that's a significant one. Jimmy Butler's out. Morris is out. And Caleb Martin is out for Miami. In Detroit, and also Tyler Hero questionable. But Detroit is very healthy. They don't have anyone really listed besides the guys that are out long term. So this one's a tough one for me. I don't really know where to go with this game because obviously 7.5 is a lot of points. It's in Detroit. What are your thoughts on this one?
This game is kind of like a exercise in futility, just because Miami's missing a bunch of players and Detroit's Detroit. So I guess I'll start with Miami in this game. Few things that I like to point out that I've kind of noticed with Miami. The first is Kyle Lowry. For fantasy purposes, he's been fantastic. He's been getting over 10 assists most nights. There's been a couple games where he's been at 5 or 6, but he's had assist nights of 15, 14, 16. He's been distributing the ball incredibly. I thought this would be a year where he'd start to trend downward just because he's older, he's been dinged up. But for fantasy purposes, he's been great, and for real life purposes, he's been a very good, kind of influence on that team because they, before they had Goran Dragic, who was always in and out of the lineup. You never could really count on him. And now they have Lowry, who's been playing all the time, and he's been good. They got those two young players in Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, both very good players. The problem with Miami today is they're missing Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo's out. Those are two really good players that, kind of are key cogs to that offense and defense as well. Detroit, on the other hand, is just a very young team, and you never know what you're going to get with them. Tough to bet on Detroit. But I will say, Cade Cunningham, I know you touched upon the rookies on the last show. And Cunningham had 21, 11, 7 2 nights ago. And, if he keeps putting up numbers like that, it's going to be difficult to deny him the rookie of the year. But they have other good players, and Isaiah Stewart is another young player, and Sadiq Bey. Again, there is another team that's very, very young. It's tough to count on them. But 7.5 points. Miami's missing players. It's in Detroit. I want to say it's a Sunday on top of it. Guys don't the veteran players don't always play that well on Sundays after being out on Saturday nights. Like, the young guys don't either. I'm going to go with Detroit in this game just because I think Miami's too dinged up to win by more than 7.5. I'm going to go with Detroit.
All right, it's an interesting call. So I'm going to hit you with a couple of other things. While you were talking, I was kind of listening to what you were saying and digging a little deeper. Detroit is on a 14-game losing streak, which is crazy. And during the last during the last 9 games, they've only lost by less than 8 once. And that was against the Wizards. It took it to overtime. Now, I'm not it's just crazy. They lost last night. They lost 116-107. Thursday 122-113. Last Sunday 116-104. So they're just losing. They're losing big games. And I don't know. I kind of like the call because it's a little bit contrarian. And Miami does have all those injuries, and Detroit's relatively healthy. So I kind of like that one. And 7.5 is a decent amount of points because Miami could be up by 12 or something. Detroit goes on a 5-point run and they lose by 7 and we cover. So I kind of like that. But I didn't realize they were. I didn't realize it was the losing streak was at 14 at this point.
Yeah, I don't have them winning the game, but I have a feeling. Like I said, Sunday games are always kind of go against the grain. For whatever reason, Sundays are always kind of an up in the air day of fantasy hoops, just because I don't know if the guys go out on Saturday nights the night before or whatever it is, but Sunday, or there's a lot of matinee games, but Sunday is always a day where the games are kind of just go against the norm. And I could see it being a score where it's like 8 or 9 points. But I could also see it being a score of 5 or 6 points by Miami. So I'm going to go, like I said, I'm going to stick with Detroit and the points in this one.
Cool. All right. So, all right. So the next game, so that's 3. We're halfway down. I just got a thing from King. Apparently, he just got the text, so I'm not sure exactly what's up with all that. But we're gonna keep motoring along here. This is an anchor man. The news already started. All right. So we got the Lakers going to Chicago. The Lakers are getting 6. So Bulls are 6-point favorites at home. Over under is 215.5. Lakers, obviously Anthony Davis is out. He's going to miss several weeks. They got a bunch of guys on the injury list here. So I'm just going to read them. Not every single one is significant, but there are a lot of guys here. So you got Malik Monk, is out. Austin Reeves is out. LeBron James is playing. THT out. Ariza questionable. Dwight Howard out. Avery Bradley out. Kent Bazemore, obviously not familiar with him. He's out. So that's on the LA side. On the Chicago side, Ayo Dosunmu out. DeMar DeRozan in, Kobe White in, Javonte Green in. So that's DeRozan and Green pretty big there. But Zach LaVine is out, Troy Brown out, Alize Johnson is out, and Matt Thomas is doubtful. So this is going to be a kind of a crazy game to watch. It's really going to be LeBron and Westbrook they might as well play 2 on. They should just go twos against DeRozan and Green or something like that. But it's going to be kind of a crazy game. So I'm kind of curious. With all those names I listed as being out on both sides, is there any kind of edge there you see? Like, is one team really just battered, like just battered by these injuries, and the other one aren't as significant, or is this going to be as bad as I think it's going to be?
Well, for Chicago, Chicago's only really missing Levine. I don't want to say only because Zach Levine's a great player. He's probably their best player, but DeRozan's playing, Vucevic is playing, and Lonzo Ball is playing. So those three are all very good players. That's like a full lineup to me. I know they're missing Troy Brown and Alize Johnson and Patrick Williams, but I don't think those are that big of losses for Chicago. With the Lakers, with a full lineup or guys missing, I just don't like the Lakers. I just don't like that team, the way it's constructed. They're just too old, especially in the regular season. I can't imagine those guys are taking the regular season all that seriously. Now, with their record the way it is, they're going to have to start taking this regular season more seriously, because if they want to make the playoffs and they don't want to be, a bottom seed in the playoffs. So they're going to have to start taking the games more seriously. I just don't. They're just very old, and on top of it, they're missing a bunch of guys today. They have Westbrook and James, but Davis is out for another 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like we should need to talk about Anthony Davis at some point, just because the guy is hurt every single year, and he's just not a reliable player to have on the Lakers. He wasn't that reliable on the Pelicans either. So I like the Bulls, and I like the Bulls in this game. Like I said, Vucevic is great. He's back. DeRozan's awesome, and Lonzo Ball's a very good point guard for them. And I just think they have more talent than the Lakers.
Yep. No, I completely agree with you. I see it the same way. And we should do maybe we'll take a Thursday show and do 10, 15 minutes on Anthony Davis, because I don't understand how he got on that list of the top 75 players of all time.
Yeah, he puts up his numbers, but I was never more disappointed or just kind of frustrated with a player, because you always hear about how great Anthony Davis is. And if he's so great, why couldn't he lead that Pelicans team deeper than the first round of the playoffs? And a lot of years they didn't even make the playoffs. Yep. And it's not like they didn't have good players. I mean, they had Julius Randle, they had Lonzo Ball, they've had good players on that team when he played with them. It's just, I don't know if Anthony Davis is a guy to carry a team. And when LeBron goes, I don't know if Anthony Davis is the guy to carry the Lakers. I feel like they need another player on the Lakers for, post LeBron James. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Exactly. That's a really good way to put it, because he didn't carry New Orleans. He's hurt, like you said, every single year, and it's not like a couple of games here and there. It's always something big. Like last year, his body completely broke down last season. Like he ended up I remember the playoffs. I think their elimination game. He tried to play. He lasted about 10 seconds and wobbled off the court. Like it's season after season, and somehow he made that list. Like that actually blows me away. That one. But anyway, I like the Chicago pick. But I'm sorry, I think I cut you off.
Yeah, that's why I'm always I know I've defended Damian Lillard the last couple of shows, but it's just there's just a difference in the players' mindsets between those two, where Lillard has gutted it out in Portland for a long time, and Davis is a more talented player, I feel like, than Lillard, not by a whole hell of a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, he is. And it just, Davis took the easy way out, where Lillard has taken the much more difficult route. And, I feel like it's a little unfair for the criticism Lillard has gotten, but that's another segment for another show.
Well, it's a good point. I like that. It's a very, very good point. All right. So we're going to move to, so that's 4 down, 2 to go. So we're looking at the Mavs at the Timberwolves. Now, this is another one that's kind of a weird game, because so many injuries or players being out on the Dallas side. But so it's Dallas at Minnesota. Minnesota is laying 3. Now, you can talk about the severity of some of these guys, but I'm going to list you the people that are out on the Dallas side. Willie Cauley-Stein is out. Frank, I can't even pronounce his last name.
Ntilikina.
Yeah, Eugene Omoruyi, Josh Green, Luka Doncic, Reggie Bullock. Those guys are all out on the Dallas side. Minnesota, well, actually, they're not completely unscathed either. They're missing Anthony Edwards, who's obviously big, and Torian Prince. So obviously, without Luka, it's pretty big. But Dallas is actually playing decent over their past few games. I thought they were actually playing really poorly, but they're 3-2 over their last 5. Their net rating is the sixth highest in the NBA right now. Whereas Minnesota has not been playing all that great. They're kind of middle of the pack. They're also 3-2 out of their last 5. But their analytics are net negative over the last 5 games. And I picked 5 just because it's a recent sample size. But I didn't realize Dallas was was playing that well without Luka. So I'm not sure how to go on this game at all. So I'm not even going to pretend I do. What are your thoughts on this one? Dallas getting 3 in Minnesota.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Dallas is playing well because Jalen Brunson has been playing very well for Dallas. He's been kind of a role player for Dallas over the past couple of years, coming off the bench, playing around 20 minutes. But now he's been inserted into the starting lineup, and he's been doing great. He's pretty much solidified that starting lineup with Doncic out. I've always liked him. He was good at Villanova. He's had a good career. He just hasn't really had much opportunity. The times he's played, when he's gotten minutes, he's put up pretty good numbers. But I feel like he's, kind of talking fantasy stats, but he's a good real life player more than he is. I think he's a better real life player than he is better at fantasy. Oh, he's good at fantasy too, but I think he's a good steadying influence on that team. He doesn't turn the ball over that much, and he makes the right decisions whenever you watch him play. I like Jalen Brunson. I think that's why they've been kind of doing as well as they are. And Porzingis, I feel like Porzingis has been playing well because now this is his opportunity to kind of show that he can be the man on a team. I mean, he had that opportunity in New York, but I got to give him credit. He's been playing well, but I'm not a Porzingis fan ever since he was complaining after, I think, the 12th game during the regular season where he said he was tired. And it's like, you played 12 games and you're complaining you're tired. He was telling the media he was tired. I'm just tired right now. Yeah, tell that to Patrick Ewing, who played 82 games every year on 2 bad knees. Ask him if he's tired. So I've never been a big Porzingis fan. But he's been playing well, and he's been a key component as to why they've been playing well. Minnesota, I like Minnesota. I like watching them play. They're without Anthony Edwards, and that's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
But we mentioned it before. They're a talented team. D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt had 16 rebounds the other night. He's just a fantastic defensive player. But I'm not sure if Karl Anthony Towns is playing tonight. I think he's been listed as questionable the last time I saw. So that's a big, if he doesn't play, then I'm definitely going to go Dallas. If he plays, the fact that Edwards is out, I'm going to go with Dallas.
I think Towns is in. So I don't see him on the latest injury report. He's not listed as out or anything. So I think he is in. I don't know if that changes your pick.
Where is this game being played, Kev?
It's in Minnesota. So it's in Minnesota. Dallas is getting 3.
Dallas is getting 3.
That's a tough
I'm
one.
gonna go with Dallas. I'm gonna go with Dallas. Like I said, Minnesota has a lot of talent, but they're not constructed the way I would like to see a team constructed. I think Dallas has more of a veteran influence, where Minnesota's, again, another team that's just incredibly young. They've done well for, the youth they have on that team, but I like Dallas in this game.
Yeah, I think I do too. You kind of convinced me with Brunson and Porzingis. All right, so last one, and this is the one with the cleanest injury report of the day. Charlotte Hornets at Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is laying 7.5. The only people listed, Booker is questionable for Phoenix. I wish I knew if he was playing or not. I don't know if there's anything more recent than that, but what I'm seeing right now is that he's questionable. And then what's his name? Abdel Nader, whatever you pronounce the last name, Nader, is out for Phoenix also. But obviously the real question there is Booker. Charlotte doesn't have anybody listed that I see at this point. Both teams have been playing decently, lately. Phoenix is obviously, one of the hottest teams in the West. Charlotte's offense, I was looking at kind of net ratings and stuff. Their discrepancy between offense and defense is absolutely ridiculous. Like their net rating on offense is 120, so 120 points per 100 possessions in the last 5 games. Their defense, they're giving up 123 points per 100 possessions. It's like worse than the NBA. So, and Phoenix obviously plays very, 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 very strong defense. So it's almost like Charlotte's strength against Phoenix's strength. So, which could usually make for a good game. Obviously, Phoenix is a big favorite here, 7.5. But what do you think about the game?
I feel like Charlotte is the Eastern Conference version of the Timberwolves. A lot of good young players, a lot of talented players, but guys who are still learning how to play. They do have Gordon Hayward. He's been playing well for them lately, and Terry Rozier as well. But, they have Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, and Jalen McDaniels. And Kelly Oubre's been playing well, too. I love LaMelo Ball, but he turns the ball over too much. It's hard to win when you're turning the ball over as much as he does. Miles Bridges, I could go on all show about Miles Bridges. He's incredible this year, and he, if Charlotte keeps winning games, he should be worthy of consideration for the All-Star game just because how good he's been. And he's never been that good. And I know we've talked about players in the past taking these huge jumps, and he's one of them where, I just didn't see him. I always thought he'd get better and be a good player, but I mean, he's like All-Star caliber player this year. He's got like incredible athleticism. He's been rebounding at a great rate. He's been scoring the ball, not taking bad shots. He's a good perimeter shooter. He's a good player, and I like him on Charlotte. And they're going to get better as better as as far as he gets better. They got Mason Plumlee in the middle too. He's a solid, serviceable center. But Phoenix is just. I really like Phoenix. I think they're going to contend with Golden State all year. I know Booker is out, but whenever you have Chris Paul running the offense, that's a big plus. He's just a veteran and knows how to run the team. Doesn't make bad decisions. Doesn't turn the ball over that much. DeAndre Ayton's back. We spoke about him. Another solid player. I always say I think he could be a better player, but even if he stays at the player he is, he's certainly a solid player. And they got Mikal Bridges, who's a kind of a jack of all trades, who does a little bit of everything for what Phoenix needs. He's a good defensive player as well. Like I said, Charlotte has a lot of talent, but I think Phoenix knows how to play as a team better. I'm going to go with Phoenix.
So you think they cover that? They cover 7.5?
It's in Phoenix, so I'm going to say yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just looking at their last few games without. So Booker's missed, I guess, 6 or 7 in a row. And
they had one clunker where they didn't play well, but they played pretty well without him.
Yeah, they definitely have, and I don't think there's any way they lose this game. Just that's a big number. You know what? Oh yeah, this is one where the over/under is 230, and that's just Charlotte's offensive rating is like through the freaking roof. I'm gonna go.
Charlotte's traveling to Arizona. Where was Charlotte playing the last game? So I'm telling you, Sunday is a crazy day for picking basketball games. There's all these kind of ancillary factors that go into it. So if they're traveling from North Carolina to Arizona, who knows if when they got there and whatnot. So that's why I like Phoenix in this game, just being the home team.
Yeah, let me check. I'm just going to check Charlotte's thing because Phoenix has been home since Thursday, so obviously they're settled in. But let's just see where Charlotte was last. So Charlotte was at Portland on Friday night, so they're probably so they're on a little bit of a road trip. They started traveling last Monday. We're at Dallas, Wednesday at San Antonio, Friday at Portland.
That's right.
Today at Phoenix. So they're like in the middle of a six-game road swing.
Yeah, they have been on a West Coast trip. I thought they were just starting their trip, but yeah, if they've been on their West Coast trip for a while, yeah, it's a tough game because I said Charlotte's got a lot of talent and Phoenix is missing Booker. You could go either way, but I'm going to stay with Phoenix.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Their games are freaking crazy. Well, I'm just going to read you these scores because they're nuts. Here's their last 4 scores. They at home they beat the Kings 124-123. First game of the road trip, they lost to Dallas 120-96. Wednesday night they beat San Antonio 131-115, and then Friday they lost to the Blazers 125-116. This is like, these are like NBA scores from like the Alex English Nuggets in the 90s.
Yeah, I was surprised they lost that last game to Portland. That was a surprising game because they played so well the game before against San Antonio. But it's probably a rebound game for them, so I'm going to go even more on Phoenix as a result.
Why is Charlotte's defense so bad? Like,
they don't have really any good defensive players other than Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges is a good defender. He's not elite, but he's got a lot of athleticism. But Gordon Hayward's not a good defender. Terry Rozier's not a good defender. LaMelo Ball has times where he can defend, but isn't a great defender by any stretch at this point. And their big man's Mason Plumlee, who's not, on that bench. They don't have any good defensive players. I mean, it's pretty much as simple as that.
That's terrible. That's like the worst answer. It's not even like they have some people and not giving effort. It's like, no, they don't have anybody.
Well, I think like Charlotte is just trying to get a base of guys that they can build around first, and I think they could fill in defensively afterward. Like I said, Bridges is that defensive player that they will use moving forward. And they drafted Ball, and he's been great. That team is definitely an unfinished product, but I feel like with a core of Ball and Bridges, and I don't know who the third guy would be in Charlotte, probably Rozier or Hayward. But again, neither one of those guys are good defensively. Rozier's okay at times, and Hayward is okay at times. It's just not a great defensive unit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's like every once in a while I like watching a game like that, but regular season NBA games with no defense, they're very difficult for me to watch.
Who do you like in this game, Kev?
I like the Suns also. I like kind of your logic there. I wish the number were a little smaller than 7.5, but I think they're just gonna like clamp down on Charlotte and show them, this is how you play defense. And their offense, like I said, with Chris Paul running the show, you have just such a huge advantage when you're playing like team basketball. And the Suns play really, really good basketball. I think, like you said, Charlotte is young, they're sloppy, they can put up points, but like those scores I just read off, like they're winning 125-124, they're losing 131-116. I mean, come on, you're never going to go to Phoenix as a team that undisciplined and keep it really close. Like, Phoenix, smart, they turn this into a blowout, they make the game's over by the third quarter, and then both sides just pull their starters, and Charlotte packs their bags and flies to I think they're playing Dallas next, and Phoenix enjoys another easy night at home. That's how I see it.
And this is like one of those games where I'm talking about with DeAndre Ayton. He should have a field day tonight against a Plumlee. This is the game I was talking about a couple episodes before, where he should have like 20 rebounds, where he just dominates. And it seems like every time you have these opportunities, he doesn't quite, he doesn't try to take advantage of them. He'll play well, but you kind of want to see more of these games where he just dominates. He had a stretch last year where he was getting like 20 rebounds for, I don't know, a two-week stretch where it's like, wow, this guy's really going to take off. I'm not asking for 20 points, but I feel like he should be able to get, in that 15 and 20 category rebounding every night. And the one thing I don't understand about Ayton is he doesn't block any shots. For a guy as big as he is and athletic as he is, he doesn't really defend the rim that well. He's gotten better defensively, but he's just kind of like a peculiar player. You look at him, you're like, wow, this guy should be incredible. And he's a good player. He's solid, but he hasn't really taken that next step that I thought he would have taken by now. And I don't know if he ever will, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Now, you know what's interesting when you say it like that, right? Before the season started, they had a choice, right, to extend to work on an extension with him or not, and they chose not to, and it pissed him off supposedly, and a lot of people were saying that was the wrong thing. And when you put it that way, as like him not taking that really big step forward and becoming like a really dominant player, maybe that makes sense. Maybe their GM and basketball people kind of look at it the same way you do, because there's a reason they didn't do it. And the common sort of knowledge, at least in what I read, what I listened to, was they should have done it, and it's just really going to bite them. It's really going to bite them when the season's over, and the price is going to have gone up 25% or whatever. But maybe you're right. Maybe they just don't see it that way, and it sounds like it sounds like you don't either.
Phoenix, I know Phoenix would love to keep him because he's an important player on that team. It's just, do you want a max contract DeAndre Ayton? That's a tough situation. I personally, I wouldn't, from what I've seen. I mentioned this on the last show as well. It's like, I don't know how he doesn't get that 10, 12 points off just rim running with Chris Paul. Tyson Chandler used to do that all the time, and he's much more athletic than him. The one thing about DeAndre Ayton is, and this is kind of a litmus test on him, is he came out of the draft with Mo Bamba, and Mo Bamba really didn't play his first couple of seasons just because he wasn't big enough. He was hurt. He had some maturity issues. And now Mo Bamba is getting minutes. And if you look at the numbers that Mo Bamba is putting up against Ayton, you would be hard-pressed not to take Bamba over Ayton at this point, because Bamba's been playing very good defensively. He defends the rim excellently. And he's scoring and he's rebounding at a better clip than Ayton. If I had to choose at this point, barring, Bamba's always hurt, but take away the injuries out of the equation just on performance alone, I'd go with Bamba.
Huh, wow. That's really, what's his contract situation?
I mean, he's on his rookie contract too. They both came out the same year, Bamba and Ayton. I would imagine that the Magic are gonna. I don't know if he's gonna command a max contract. But he's certainly better than Wendell Carter. If they're going to keep Carter, I'd rather have Bamba just because I think he does more for that team. But again, with Bamba, it's, can you stay healthy? I think he's hurt again. He's been relatively healthy most of the season, but he's been dinged up a little bit lately. But if he can stay healthy, I think the sky's the limit for that kid. And they were like the two centers coming out that year, and Ayton got all the hype, but they were saying like Bamba could possibly be the better player in the long run.
Yeah, no, that's a good way. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a very interesting comparison. We'll have to talk about that some more. All right, so the last factor in this game that's kind of got me even more kind of agreeing with your lean towards Phoenix even laying the big number. Charlotte plays at Utah tomorrow night, so they're either going from the end of this game right to the airport and flying to Utah, or flying tomorrow morning. So either way, they're probably just going to try to get out of town, and Phoenix is not going to make it easy. So I think that's one other factor to consider there. And I can only imagine what the over-under is going to be on Charlotte at Utah tomorrow night. We got to take a look at that. I bet it'll be, this one's 230. I bet that one will be like 234 and a half, 236, something crazy like that.
Yeah, it'll definitely be higher.
Yeah. All right, so here's what we got for today, and we're going to wrap it up here. We got the Spurs minus 4.5. We got that game, the total under 229.5. We have the Grizzlies minus 5.5 at home against Portland. Detroit plus 7.5 at home versus Miami. The Bulls laying 6 at home against the Lakers. The Mavs getting 3 at Minnesota, and Phoenix laying 7.5 at home against Charlotte. So I'm going to put those all in right now, and we'll review them in the next day or so. So we'll do a couple of bucks on each one. Put those bets in. Any final thoughts, Stu, on the slate of games today?
No, I don't have any other further thoughts other than, it's hard to pick these games with everyone being out due to the health and safety protocols. It's just a tough situation. But I think the analysis we did, I think it gives a pretty good basis for why we picked the teams we picked. So, it's not easy, but I think we did a pretty good job today.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, I'm kind of tracking the number. Well, I'm not just kind of. I'm tracking the numbers because I'm actually putting these in as we talk. So it'll be easy to go over them this week. All right. With that said, this is Genius Kev. We're going to wrap up this impromptu Sunday afternoon. It's supposed to be a very quick review of the games, but Big Stu and I get going. We kind of dig deep, talk about the players, teams, who's hot, who's cold, injuries, all that stuff. And we ran 45 minutes. So hope you all enjoyed it. And we'll do legit fantasy basketball tomorrow night at 8 p.m.